Hello StarCraft gamers, this is Rocket bringing you a replay here. It's a 4v4 I played recently, and there are a few reasons I'm giving you this replay. I guess you might want to know them since you're starting and deciding whether you want to watch the rest of this or not. So there are a few reasons. One is just a lot of people don't play 4v4, and to give you some idea what to expect in a 4v4. And even when you think you are losing, think a little carefully about that, because you could be pulling ahead even as you're losing some units or losing some workers. Here I've got 2 Terran allies and a Protoss. And the other reason I'm uploading this is because there's this really sweet moment with the banelings that you'll get to see later. So I'm a this is my first YouTube video. I'm a Zerg player for the most part. I used to be a Terran player. Back in StarCraft 1, I was a Protoss player. I started playing StarCraft in 1997 in the summer, right when it came out. And I was a college student back then, so I'm not as young as a lot of the that kind of dates me. Not as young as a lot of the StarCraft players out there. But I definitely enjoy real-time strategy games. And here you see that that Orange went for an early pool. I'm right now only showing our view, so you can get some idea of what you'll be seeing if you play a 4v4. So Blue is pointing out, I'm the purple Zerg, but Blue is going to do a lot of the talking in this game. He's pointing out that we'll have Zerglings incoming soon. He's saying block your ramps. Obviously, I'm Zerg, so my ramp is yeah, I can't really block my ramp, but he's concerned about the other guys' ramps, which with good cause. I'm going to be preparing for this. As you'll see, I'm making some Zerglings, and I'll be putting a spine crawler back here. I'm getting my queen, but Red has this significantly sized gap here, and he's also starting to work on the pylon. And we don't know if this Zealot is going to get out in time. Oh my god, you're dead, says Blue. So another thing that you can see in 4v4 is people say a lot of stuff. They talk a lot. A lot of things they say aren't very helpful, like, oh my god, you're dead, or I told you so, or do this thing that only I, a bronze player, would recommend. You just kind of have to take things your allies and your opponents say with a grain of salt in this game. So here I'm trying to help them out with my lings a little bit. Orange went for an 11 pool with no Overlord, and Yellow, who's up here, his lings are now in the base, went with a 10 pool with no Overlord. So some early lings, and they'll soon have speed lings. And when you're facing 2 Zergs with speed lings, you are going to get harassed early in the game with speed lings. 2 Zergs can produce a lot of speed lings if their goal is to run in, harass workers, try to catch units out in the open and pick them off, catch reinforcements moving. That's a role that Zerg definitely plays in multiplayer games. Zerg has a lot of weaknesses in multiplayer games, like it's very hard to get strong early defense compared to other races, since you can't wall off your ramp. You have this big opening and they can just run right into your base and attack from any angle. And here we're going to see one of those things that Zerglings do so well, especially once they get speed, but also just in mass numbers, is surrounding opponents' armies and getting a lot of kills early in the game when they haven't really massed up, they don't have a lot of mobility, they don't have splash damage, and they don't have just the numbers. So that's what's happening right here. Blue left some Marines out in the open, thinking he needed to help Red. I sent some Lings thinking I needed to help both of them. And those all got lost. And Teal sent some Marines thinking he needed to help all of us, and is going to get them picked off too after they try this this entrance to Blue, which is fully blocked. So now they're going to pick off all these Marines, and he's going to start repairing with this SCV, but he's not going to be able to get, he really needs a second SCV repairing or really needs the Marines behind the block to shoot at the Lings. So so they were able to break through. That's not really enough to stop them. And you know, right now I'm focused on using my Lings to try and help my allies defend while still getting you know, enough of an economy and enough tech to be able to do some damage to our opponents later on. And I'm trying to, you know, pull them around and make them lose their time in the space. And he really should have pulled these SCVs away and let us clean up those forces by attacking. He was making it easier for the Lings to kill him. They're going to try and come into my base with Lings, but that's not going to be effective. I have a few Lings there. I've got my 2 queens. I've got spine crawlers in the back. There's no way they're going to be able to do any damage to my drone line unless they start getting banelings out or a lot of roaches or something. So now blue wants to attack, and he's saying, "Follow me." If he had actually just instead of move clicked, if he'd just you know, attacked, he would have been able to kill a bunch of those Zerglings in there. So yellow is going to lose the scouting overlord. And I'm going to come down. My banelings nest is done. I've got some gas coming in. I have plenty of gas to be able to do some damage here. And really, I've got way too much minerals and gas. I should be spending more of that. And here my Bane's morphing in. He says, "No time. No time. No time for you." So he's going to go in and go ahead and attack, which is probably good, actually. He's probably good he didn't wait. We didn't know what was up here. No scan or scout that went down, but certainly that was a good move. His allies slow to help him, and all they have is Lings. So, yeah, when that happened in the game, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I watched it happen. I was there, but I just couldn't believe it. And here my ally, Red, the guy with the, you know, the wall with some gaps in it, is now, was able to attack up to DT, and is doing a pretty good harass here. This one is right near a spore crawler, so it's going to get taken out by this spine. This one, he has an overseer, so that's not going to be able to do much. But over here, he's pretty successful, able to stop mining once again. And here I've got more Banes coming in. Blue's still here with his mass marine. Little bad pathing or miscontrol there, but that's alright. Still got several drone kills. And at this point, the game is basically over. As you can see on the timer, I left this up. It's actually going to last quite a lot longer just because Green, who... well, here's... Yeah, we could talk about this for a minute while the game goes on, even though this is basically over. Green, who... you know, Green and White did not the best strategy here, or really this team did not the best strategy here. They had 2 players go early pool and harass with Lings. And that was White... That was, sorry... Orange and yellow, when both went early pool, even before getting an overlord, they got a pool out, and they went up to harass with Lings, and they did do some damage, but not enough to compensate for the lack of economy and lack of tech that they had, and also for the kind of fail strategy of Green and White here. So Green blocked his base in with cannons and then went mass gateway and early expand on the gold. But he didn't really build attacking units for a very long time, and even until he got his 3rd expansion up and it was taken out did he start producing a lot of units. So he kind of failed his teammates in that sense. He just didn't have anything. The game was decided before he'd even built attacking units. So that's usually a bad idea. Usually you want to build attacking and defending units before the game ends. But now he has a ton of money saved up, and he can build mass stalkers out of his mass gateways. So I'm just going to show everyone. Yeah, that's a lot of gateways. That's kind of silly, and a nice non-mining of gas here. But he has so much money. It's ridiculous. and yet he did not build attacking units for the longest time. Sure, he forces us into a defensive posture for a little while, but it's not going to last very long. And White went for this early hatch. He probably went for a 15 hatch or something like that. And he also tried to jump straight to meters and didn't really manage to contribute to his team very much, because he only got a chance to get about 2 meters out before the game was over, and we were in his base with Marines and Wings. So great to do some of that tech and great to do some of that economy, but a more balanced approach probably would have been better, or maybe you can argue that they just didn't do it well enough. Certainly it kind of seems that way when you look at something like this. So I'd recommend a more balanced approach. For Zerg, I think 13 pool or 14 pool is very good. I tend to delay my gas, somewhat inspired by the Spanishiwa build of delaying the gas a little bit and getting another queen out. But obviously, in 4v4, you can't really just quick expand and expect a good result from that. You really have to get your pool first, and you have to be making some lings. And what's Zerg so good at in 4v4? Sure, they have the weaknesses of not being able to block their ramp. They have the weakness of not being very vulnerable to air for a very long time. I mean, pretty much until you have Hydras or Corruptors or a lot of Queens or Infestors. For a long time, you're very vulnerable to air, but compared to the other races. But their strength in multiplayer games is to have these Zerglings. They're just very fast, very mobile units, and can do run-bys, can do counterattacks, can quickly dispatch of a drone line or probe line, and that's really a very significant role Zerg has in multiplayer games. So you can go fast roach and stuff like that, and that's awesome. But you lose all the mobility of the Zerglings, which is really one of the selling points of using Zerg in a multiplayer game. So I recommend trying to utilize that as much as possible. I mean, there's some games where Zerglings are not going to be very useful, depending on what your opponents do. So keep an eye out for that. But in general, it's very significant if when used well. So that's it. I'm just gonna speed this up so we can get to the conclusion for you guys, because this is not very interesting to watch at this point. Game's basically over. So I don't know exactly what Green's plan was, getting like all these gateways and just expanding. And hopefully this gives you some idea of what to expect and what to try to accomplish when you play 4v4s. You don't necessarily just have to rush and be the first one to hit your opponents, but you do have to be careful about getting your armies split if you don't do that, and you do have to be careful about having a mobile enough army to be able to help out your allies when they get attacked. If your armies aren't joined together in an offensive push. If you're trying to defend, it's easy to attack in one spot and, have your forces on the other side of the map and not in position. So have to be very watchful of that. Keeping vision on the whole map is very helpful too. So that's the game. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Rockday signing off.